Hey friends, how you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're starting Daf Pevav, Daf 86 of Masechta Ksubis. Friends, according to my calculations, this is the 1000th episode of Babylon Talmud, which also means that this is the 1000th Daf of Masechta Ksubis, of Shas, which I guess is also kind of cool. Alright. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Right. Alright. What does this daf even talk about? I think it continues talking about that situation where a guy is mochel ksuba and stuff. Alright. Fine. Yeah, more like ksuba-y kind of things. Alright. Well, friends, let's jump in over here. Daf pei hey amud beis. Okay, 2 lines from the bottom. Alright. Krevde de Rav Nachman zabinta l'ksubasa b'tovas hanoya igarsha u'shchiva asu katavela Levarta amud Rav Nachman leka de Lisba la eitza tiza v'tichala l'chsubasa te'ima l'gabe avua v'tersa minei. Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. So, remember the case that we had at the end of the daf yesterday? That Ruvain has a document that says that Shimon owes him money, $1,000. Ruvain then sells that document to Levi. Ruvain then says to Shimon, forget it, I'm waiving the loan, you don't have to pay it back. So basically Levi's in trouble. Okay. And we said that not only can Ruvain waive it, but if Ruvain dies, his heirs can waive it. Okay. Fine. So now, let's switch up the situation a little bit. You have Ruvain is married to Sarah. Sarah has a ksuba. What does a ksuba say? Ksuba is a document that basically says that if they get divorced, so then Ruvain has to pay her the ksuba. So it's basically a document that says that she's owed money by Ruvain. Now, what she does though is she sells her ksuba to Shimon. How does selling a ksuba work? It means that Shimon sort of buys the ksuba at a lower price because there's risk involved, right? Meaning, if she dies, well then he loses, right? Because if she dies, then the husband just inherits her, and there's no payment, there's no ksuba payment, then he loses his money. But if they get divorced, or if he dies, then she doesn't get paid the ksuba. Shimon gets paid the ksuba. So he buys the ksuba at a discounted price, since he's taking on risk that in the event that she dies, he loses his money. But if they get divorced, or if he dies, well then he'll receive her ksuba, the full amount. So now here we kind of have a similar situation, right? Sarah has a document that says that Ruvain owes her money, essentially. Sarah sells that document to Shimon. Sarah and Ruvain get divorced, which means that Shimon is now able to collect this document from Ruvain, who's the husband. Sarah now dies, which means that her daughter inherits her and inherits this document. Now the thing is, Shimon's going to say that Shimon has this document that says that he's entitled to receive the ksuba, not the daughter, since he purchased it from Sarah. So now, right, this is similar to the first case, right, when Ruvain sold the document to Levi, and now he's trying to collect it from Shimon, right? So in this case also, Sarah sold it to Shimon, and now Shimon's trying to collect it from Ruvain because Ruvain and Sarah got divorced. So, Krivte de Rav Nachman, so the relative of Rav Nachman, Sarah, Zabinta l'ksubasa b'tovas hanoya, so she basically sold her ksuba to Shimon. Igarsha, she got divorced, which means that Shimon's entitled to collect the document, the ksubah. Ushchiva, and then she died, and now there's her daughter. Asu katavi la levarta. So now Shimon was coming and saying, look, I get the Ksubah, not the daughter. Amr Rav Nachman, leka de Lizba la Eitza. Rav Nachman says, poor girl, who's gonna help her, right? Who's gonna essentially, right? We need a lawyer to see what can be done to help her. Tezel v'tichala l'chsubasa, and Rav Nachman says, look, you know what she can do. There's a loophole over here. What she can do is, she could say to her father, Ruvain, look, I have this document, my mother's Ksubah, that says that you owe her money. Now the thing is that my mother sold it to Shimon, so Shimon's going to collect that money. But you know what? As we learned at the end of the daf yesterday, the Yorshim could be mochel the document. So she says to Ruvain, her father, look, I have this, my mother's Ksubah that says that you owe money. I'm going to be mochel the Ksubah. You don't owe anything. Oh. So now, she was mochel the Ksubah. Ruvain doesn't owe her anything, but he also doesn't owe Shimon anything because the Ksubah has been waived. And then it's a waiting game. Right? And then she just waits until her father dies, and then she inherits her father, and part of the, right, along with the Ksubah, the value of the Ksubah that he didn't have to pay to Shimon, that he got to keep, and while she didn't get it right away, she waits until he dies, and then she gets it with the rest of the estate. Shama, so the daughter heard about this loophole, about this trick. Ozla, achilta. So she did just that. She was mochel the Ksubah to her father, said her father doesn't need to pay anything now, but then when he dies, she'll be able to inherit the entire, right, the estate, including this money that he didn't have to pay. But then Rav Nachman felt bad. He said, that's not right. I took sides over here. I basically, poor Shimon, he purchased the Ksubah, he spent money on it, and now he's going to lose his investment. I took sides over here. Meikar myself or Levasof myself. How come initially he was willing to help his relative, and in the end he felt bad? So Meikar Savar, well, initially he figured, right? Don't hide from your relatives, right? He had this relative who was kind of stuck. She wasn't going to get any, her mother died, she wasn't going to receive her Ksubah. So he wanted to help her out. But ultimately he felt, you know what? I'm in a position of influence, and people are going to learn from my actions, and and they might do the same, and they might do it even, as Rashi says, af shelo lekrovim, even in situations where it's not necessary to help out a relative. Interesting. That's very interesting. What would be the problem with doing it even if they're not a relative? Or maybe because it wouldn't be nice, because it's kind of doing a loophole. But what? So it's like being a lawyer b'di'evet? All right, I am not going to take. I am not getting into that. We need to go weiter. Now, Gufa Omer Shmuel says Shmuel, Hamocha shtarchov lachveru. So a fellow who sells a shtarchov to his friend, b'chazor mechalo machul. Okay, so we said earlier that if Reuven has a document that says that Shimon owes him $1,000, and then he forgives, right, and then Reuven sells that document to Levi, and then he forgives it to Shimon, which means that Levi can't collect it anymore. And even even Reuven's kids could be mochel the shtar. Look, if Levi is smart, if Levi was smart, he would give Shimon some money and have them write a new document that has Levi's name on it, so that even if Reuven is mochel his document, it's irrelevant because Levi has a document with his own name on it, and he's not going to be collecting a document that doesn't have his name on it, but somebody else's name on it, i.e. Reuven, right? So he'll write a new document with his own name on it, and then he avoids the whole situation. Omer Meimar says, "Meimar man dedoin dina degarme magbe be dmei shtarim alya." So now Meimar says, well, okay, Reuven doesn't necessarily get off scot-free. Reuven was just a shtickle dishonest, right? Ruvain sold the document to Levi and then was mochel to Shimon, and now Levi loses out on his investment. So, if you hold of Dayan Dina Degarme means that if somebody causes damage to his friend, he's liable for it, such as over here, that if Ruvain, by being mochel the document to Shimon, now makes Levi lose out on his investment. So if you say that Ruvain's responsible for that, and we're going to hold him accountable, well then Ruvain's going to have to pay the $1,000 of the document to Levi, regardless of how much Levi paid for it, I assume. Mandeloda in Dina Degarme, but if you don't hold of Dina Degarme, that if you don't hold that Ruvain is liable for causing Levi to lose his investment, so Magbebe Dmei Nior Ba'alma. So then, look, Levi can just hold on to the document, but he won't be able to do anything with it. Hava Uvda V'chaf Yerafram L'Rav Ashi. There was once an incident, and Rafram forced Rav Ashi Ve'agbebe Kikshur L'Talmei, and they made the fellow who caused damage collect it, and they were very makpid on the price, like a artist would be makpid on having a sort of very smooth surface for his paintings, i.e. that he had to pay back in full. Amar Abai says, Amar Ameimar says, Ameimar Mishmeder of Chama, Haiman de Iko Ole Ksubas Isha Uvalcho. So if you have a fellow who is liable to pay for his wife's ksuba, and he's also liable to pay a creditor. V'isle arav v'isle zuze, and he's got money and he's got property. So the creditor, he pays back with money. And to his wife, he pays the ksuba with land. Each one based on their din, right? Meaning, the creditor lent him money, so he pays the creditor back with the money. The ksube of the wife is, right, his karka, his property is meshubah to the ksube, so he pays her with the karka. V'i lo iko el chad ara, v'lo chazia el chad, and if there is only one property, and therefore, and it's only enough to pay either the creditor or his ex-wife, we use the property to pay back the creditor, as Rashi says, shlotino delis bifnei lovin, so as not to lock doors before borrowers, right? That people aren't going to want to lend money if they have to be concerned about losing their loan, right? The amount of money that they lent. So, in order to keep loans happening, we look to protect the lender, and therefore, if there's only one property and there's only enough to pay either the creditor or the ex-wife, so then we will pay the lender so as to keep loans healthy, and kind of going, keep people wanting to give loans. My time. How come he gets precedence? Yosef Masha Ish wrote to Lisa, Ish wrote to Linose, that more than a man wants to get married, a woman wants to get married. So therefore, I guess there's more of the concern of Shalotinu Delis B'fnei Lovin overrides the concern of maybe she won't want to get married. Okay? Meaning she won't want to get married if she doesn't have the security of the Ksubah. So it's more of a concern about Shalotinu Delis B'fnei Lovin. Okay? Amalei Rav Papa to Rav Chama. So says Rav Papa to Rav Chama. It says Rav Papa to Rav Chama. Vadid am Yusuf Mishmei de Rave. Is it true that which they say in the name of Rave? Haiman de Maske be Zuze, that if a person owes money, ve'isle aro, and he has property, ve'osa bal chov ve'katova mine, and his creditor comes and says, I want to get paid back. Ve'omarle, and the borrower says to the lender, to the creditor, Zil shkol me'ara. Okay, so take from the land. Okay, so Shimon borrowed $1,000 from Ruvain. Ruvain comes to collect it. Shimon says, look, collect it from the land. Amrinale, we say to Shimon, Zil zovin at ve'aisi havle. So we say to Shimon, right, so look, Ruvain lent Shimon $1,000. Reuven comes to collect it. Shimon says, look, I have land, take the land. So we say to Shimon, you sell the land, get the money from your land, and then use that money to pay back Reuven. Reuven doesn't have to now go and sell the land. Amalei lo. So Rav Chama says, no, that isn't what Rava says. Emali gufa duvde echiavi hava. So if Papa says to Rav Chama, so what exactly did happen? Amalei. So Rav Chama says, look, it was talking about a situation where, in this particular case, Shimon actually did have money to pay back Reuven, but he says that this money belongs to an Oved Kochavim, and therefore he can't give it to Reuven. And because he, did something that wasn't, I guess, encouraged. I'm not exactly sure what wasn't encouraged, what to be saving this money for the Oved Kochavim. But since he did something improperly, so therefore we say, look, in this case, Shimon, you're going to have to, if you have money to give back Reuven and you're not going to use it to give it to him, so now you have land. Reuven doesn't need the headache of selling the land. You sell the land and give the money to Reuven. Omle Rav Kana, the Rav Kana says to Rav Papa, according to you that you say, that it's a mitzvah to pay back a creditor, right? So if Shimon borrows money from Reuven, it's a mitzvah to pay back Reuven. What if he says, look, I understand it's a mitzvah for me to pay back Reuven, but I don't want to do a mitzvah? So Papa says to Rav Kahana, Tanina, we learned in the Mishnah, when do we say that we give 40 lashes? Mitzvahs lo saiseh. If it's a mitzvah d'oraisa, it's a mitzvahs lo saiseh, and he doesn't do it, so then we give him 40 lashes. Right? If he violates mitzvahs lo saiseh, so we give him 40 lashes. But by mitzvahs aseh, if we say, look, make a sukkah, build a sukkah, he doesn't do it. Lulav enose, we say, go get yourself a lulav, and he doesn't. Makin also achetetze nafsho, we whip him until he dies. That'll teach him. And therefore, there's no such thing as Shimon saying, I don't want to do a mitzvah, I'm not going to pay back Reuven. There's no choice, he has to pay back Reuven. But Amine, Rami Bar Chama, Rav Chizde, Rami Bar Chama asks a kasha from Rav Chizde. Hareza gitech velo tizgashi bo el achar shloshim yom. So Rami Bar Chama asks Rav Chizde, he says, what if a fellow says to his wife, here is your divorce document, but you're only going to be divorced in 30 days. And then what does she do? She takes the document and she puts it at the sides of Rosh Hashanah. And imagine Rosh Hashanah is like this thoroughfare, and then by the sides there are like houses and things, and right next to kind of the houses where, just kind of the side of Rosh Hashanah, she leaves the document. Mao. So Amalei, so Rav Chizda says, she's not divorced because Midrabu Shmuel, based on what Rav and Shmuel said the other day, the Rav and Shmuel say, that the creditor can only chaperine stuff, according to Reb Tarfon, can only chaperine stuff from the fellow who passed away if they are in Rosh Hashanah, i.e. they aren't in the possession of the orphans. One second. And if they were in some kind of like simta or something like that, it wouldn't work because we would assume that it belongs to the orphans at that point. And here also, so since they are in Rosh Hashanah, it's not considered in her possession. We want to assume that the sides of Rosh Hashanah are like Rosh Hashanah, and therefore it's not considered to be in her possession, and therefore 30 days later, it's not in her possession and she's not divorced. Adrabah, do we say 1 second? I'll say the punkt vaket, I'll say the opposite, Migoryashus. Shitake is divorced. Rav Nachman says, Am Rav Baravua, Ha'omer HaChaver Mishoch Parazo, Velosia Knu Yilach. That Rav Nachman says the name of Rav Baravua, that if Reuven says to Shimon, pull this cow, but it's not going to be yours ad lachar shloshim yom, it won't be yours until after 30 days. Kana. Right? So if Reuven says to Shimon, pull my cow, and then it'll be yours in 30 days from now. So in 30 days from now, it's Shimon's. Even if it's standing in a marsh, not in Shimon's house. Let's say that a marsh is just like the size of Rishus Harabim, and we're saying that even if it's in the marsh, it's going to be Shimon's property. So here also I'll say that the divorce document in 30 days, even if it's in Tzidei Rishus Harabim, will be considered in her property, and she should be divorced. Lo agam l'chud v'tzidei Rishus Harabim l'chud. We say no, the marsh is one thing, Tzidei Rishus Harabim is a different thing. Even though in the marsh, Shimon would acquire the cow, in the Tzidei Rishus Harabim would not be considered in the wife's property, and therefore she would not be divorced. Those who say punkt fakert, Omar le migoreshes, that Rav Chizda Taka said that she is divorced. Mid Rav Nachman, because of her, right, the Rav Nachman and the cow in the marsh, v'tzidei Rishus Harabim ka'agam dami, and that the sides of Rishus Harabim are like the marsh, and just like in the marsh, Shimon would be kona the cow, so also when the document's in Tzidei Rishus Harabim, she would be considered divorced. Adrabo, we try to say punkt fakert, eina megoreshes, that she would not be divorced. Mid Rav Shmuel, based on Rav and Shmuel, who say that in Rishus Harabim would not be considered a possession. And let's say that Rishus Harabim is the same thing as Tzidei Rishus Harabim, and just like Rishus Harabim is not considered her possession, also just like Rishus Harabim is not her possession, so also Tzidei Rishus Harabim is not considered her possession, therefore she should not be divorced. Lo, Rishus Harabim l'chud v'Tzidei Rishus Harabim l'chud. No, we say here, in the second version, that no, Tzidei Rishus Harabim is a different thing than Rishus Harabim, and therefore in Tzidei Rishus Harabim it would be considered in her possession, and she would be divorced. We get to a new Mishnah. Moshe ves ishto chenvonis. So a fellow who's got a store, right? A husband's got a store, and his wife is the storekeeper. O shemina apatrupia, or she puts him in charge of the business, that she could be running his business. At any time that he wants, he could make her swear that she didn't take anything. Rabbi Eliezer says, forget about the business, even just things around the house. Threads or dough, he can make her swear about anything that she didn't chap it around. Says the Gemara Barlu, they want to know. When Rabbi Eliezer says that he can make her swear even on these like household items, are they gilgul kamar or lechatchila kamar? Does that mean he can only make her swear on the household items if he's already making her swear about something more substantial like his business? So if he's making it right, if she's running his business and he wants to make her swear about something regarding the business, so once already he's making her swear about the business, he can then say, oh, by the way, I also want you to swear about the dough in the house. Or is that, no, even the chatchila, he could simply say, look, I want you to swear that you didn't steal any dough. Tashma Kamir Amulo, Rabbi Eliezer, they said to Rabbi Eliezer, well, they said to Rabbi Eliezer, look, you can't live with a snake in a closed area, right? Meaning what you're doing is going to make her upset, and that is not a recipe for success in your marriage. So I understand if Rabbi Eliezer is saying that he can even lechatchila make her swear about things like stealing dough. Well, yeah, I can understand why she would be upset, and they would respond to him and say, look, you can't make her swear about that stuff, because then she's going to be a very upset wife, and you don't want to live together like that. But if you say that he can only make her swear about like the thread and the dough, on account, if he's already making her swear for something more substantial, like, running his business, so then he can also say, look, once already you're swearing for that, so then also swear about the thread and the dough and stuff, right? If you say that only in that way can he make her swear, well then, why are they responding, hey, you're going to make her really upset? I mean, she's already swearing anyways. Well, the Amr, so the Gemara says, not necessarily. You can say that maybe Rabbi Eliezer is only saying that once already she has to swear for the business, so then we could say also swear about this. Well, then what's she going to be all worked up about? She's already swearing about the business. Well, she's going to be kind of upset that, like, he's saying, you know what, if you really don't trust me that much, then leave me alone, I'm out of here. So therefore I can understand why they would respond and say, Ein adam dar, im nachash b'chfifa, even if it's only a gilgul shvua. Tashma, kominira, reishelo pater es ishto, mina neder. If you have a fellow who did not make his wife potter from vows and oaths, and he appoints her as the shopkeeper, or he put her in charge of his business to run the business, he can make her swear whenever he wants. If he didn't make her the storekeeper, or if he didn't put her in charge of the business, then he's not allowed to make her swear. Rabbi Eliezer Omer says, Rabbi Eliezer, says Rabbi Eliezer, no, even if he doesn't make her the storekeeper, appoint her as a storekeeper, or to run his business, he can still make her swear whenever he wants. Because every woman at some point is going to be in charge of the threads and the doughs, things around the house, and therefore he can make her swear about those things as well. So Amrulay, to which they reply, a person's not going to want to live with a snake in an enclosed area, i.e., you don't want to make her upset like that. So shmamina lechatchila shmamina. So we see that Rabbi Eliezer was saying that even lechatchila, right? He says even if she's not running the business, still he can make her swear about anything. So we see that it's even lechatchila. Friends, I gotta run. That was that Peivav of Masechta Ksubis. We talked about like those different ways of like the swears of when people buy and sell documents and stuff like that. Friends, that was a 1,000th episode of Babylon Talmud. Pretty nutso. Peace out.